November 22nd, 1963, President Kennedy is assassinated. A nation is in grief, in shock. What follows is a transition of authority, of leadership that becomes a shining testimonial to the democratic ideal and the power of democracy in action. 5 days later, November 27, 1963, President Johnson delivers his "Let Us Continue" speech. Here, with a superb introduction from thinker, are a few segments totaling about 10 minutes of that oration. Let us continue.
In the wake of the Kennedy assassination, everything was confused. What happened? What do we do now? Big unanswered questions. In moments of crisis, Americans are looking for a sense of clarity, and people look to their national leaders. Lyndon Johnson had the opportunity and in many ways the obligation to define a path forward. After Kennedy's assassination, Robert Kennedy said to an associate, he said, "Things are going to change. People don't realize just how conservative Lyndon really is." This was a general assumption, feeling that he was a Southern conservative, that he was nothing like John Kennedy. And so this is a speech with a real political imperative. The most important line in the speech is, "Let us continue." He wants everyone to understand that he's not there as Lyndon Johnson. He's there as the heir to the Kennedy legacy, and that's what he's going to carry forward. He goes through just about every item on the Kennedy agenda and says, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do everything that he was planning to do. It's a masterful speech.
My fellow Americans, all I have, I would have given gladly not to be standing here today. The greatest leader of our time has been struck down by the foulest deed of our time. Today, John Fitzgerald Kennedy lives on in the immortal words and works that he left behind. He lives on in the mind and memories of mankind. He lives on in the hearts of his countrymen. No words are sad enough to express our sense of loss. No words are strong enough to express our determination to continue the forward thrust of America that he began. The dream of conquering the vastness of space, the dream of partnership across the Atlantic and across the Pacific as well, the dream of a Peace Corps in less developed nations, the dream of education for all of our children, the dream of jobs for all who seek them and need them, the dream of care for our elderly, the dream of an all-out attack on mental illness, and above all, the dream of equal rights for all Americans, whatever their race or color. These and other American dreams have been vitalized by his drive and by his dedication. And now the ideas and the ideals which he so nobly represented must and will be translated into effective action. On the 20th day of January in 1961, John F. Kennedy told his countrymen that our national work would not be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the life of this administration, nor even perhaps in our lifetime on this planet. But he said, "Let us begin." Today, in this moment of new resolve, I would say to all my fellow Americans, let us continue. This is our challenge, not to hesitate, not to pause, not to turn about and linger over this evil moment, but to continue on our course so that we may fulfill the destiny that history has set for us. Our most immediate tasks are here on this hill. First, no memorial oration or eulogy could more eloquently honor President Kennedy's memory than the earliest possible passage of the Civil Rights Bill for which he fought so long. We have talked long enough in this country about equal rights. We have talked for 100 years or more. It is time now to write the next chapter and to write it in the books of law. I urge you again, as I did in 1957 and again in 1960, to enact a civil rights law so that we can move forward to eliminate from this nation every trace of discrimination and oppression that is based upon race or color. There could be no greater source of strength to this nation, both at home and abroad. As one who has long served in both houses of the Congress, I firmly believe in the independence and the integrity of the legislative branch. And I promise you that I shall always respect this. It is deep in the marrow of my bones. With equal firmness, I believe in the capacity and I believe in the ability of the Congress, despite the divisions of opinions which characterize our nation, to act wisely, to act vigorously, to act speedily when the need arises. The need is here. The need is now. I ask your help. We meet in grief, but let us also meet in renewed dedication and renewed vigor. Let us meet in action, in tolerance, and in mutual understanding. John Kennedy's death commands what his life conveyed, that America must move forward. The time has come for Americans of all races and creeds and political beliefs to understand and to respect one another. So let us put an end to the teaching and the preaching of hate and evil and violence. Let us turn away from the fanatics of the far left and the far right, from the apostles of bitterness and bigotry, from those defiant of law, and those who pour venom into our nation's bloodstream. I profoundly hope that the tragedy and the torment of these terrible days will bind us together in new fellowship, making us one people in our hour of sorrow. So let us here highly resolve that John Fitzgerald Kennedy did not live or die in vain. And on this Thanksgiving Eve, as we gather together to ask the Lord's blessing and give Him our thanks, let us unite in those familiar and cherished words: America, America. God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.